Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday. I hope all is well. I hope you're enjoying the Euros if you're watching it wherever you are around the world. Obviously England getting off to a good start of the weekend. Scotland losing yesterday, all set up for a huge game at Wembley on Friday. Looking forward to that one. But I thought I'd pop on, we'll, as usual, have a little bit of a chat about what's going on at the moment at Arsenal in the transfer market. Lots of stories doing the rounds today. I wanted to talk about, give some of my thoughts on, and obviously read what you guys have to say in the comments below as always. So whatever we talk about in this video, please do. If you've got something to say, then do write them down here, and I always enjoy going through them to see your opinions on how things stand at Arsenal at the moment. And the big story doing the rounds today is on the news. Arsenal have had a bid rejected, according to multiple sources over in Belgium and over here, for Albert Lokonga, the Anderlecht midfielder, 21-year-old midfielder. Now reports over in Belgium say that Anderlecht have rejected Arsenal's first offer, which was around £13.5 million, 50 million euros, and they're holding out for more like 20 million euros. But those reports over in Belgium certainly seem to suggest that there is a sense that this is something that could well get done, that Anderlecht are open to selling. The player is keen on moving, and that there's a sense that negotiations will be able to come to a successful conclusion. Now that would be exciting for Arsenal. He's certainly a very exciting young talent. I can't pretend to be an absolute expert on him at all. I'm sure plenty of you out there probably know more about him than I do, or have seen him play more than I do, certainly. But he's a very talented young player. Thierry Henry is a big fan, obviously knows exactly what's going on in Belgium at the moment. Henry, with his work with the Belgium national team, Lokonga isn't there at the Euros. He didn't make the final squad. But Henry, a very big fan. There were stories doing the rounds only a couple of weeks ago that he had actually recommended to Arsenal that they should get a deal done for Lokonga this summer, and it looks like that might well be able to happen now. Like I said, nothing agreed yet, but certainly the sense over in Belgium is that there could be a deal reached with a little bit of negotiation between the two clubs. And that will be an exciting one for us. He certainly looks like an exciting player. I mean, when you watch YouTube videos, they always look absolute world beaters. But I like the way he gets on the front foot when he receives the ball. He's often on the half turn, changing from sort of defence into attack. He strides forward, gets forward well. He's got a very excellent range of passing by the looks of it. Really some clever passes outside of his right foot. Can score goals as well. Very young, 21, inexperienced, coming from the Belgium league. Is he going to come in and become a regular starter straight away at Arsenal? Perhaps not. Like I said in previous videos, I don't think it's a case of Arsenal just signing one midfielder this summer. When Granit Xhaka leaves, they're going to need more than that. Just looking at the numbers in the squad, you feel like they need more than just one midfielder, especially if Guendouzi and Torreira go as you expect. Joe Willock could possibly leave, Ainsley Maitland-Niles could possibly leave. You've got Thomas Partey and Mohamed Elneny in African Cup of Nations action halfway through the season, so suddenly your midfield options are looking very, very thin. So I don't think one new arrival is going to cover it in that position. I think you probably need a couple. Obviously Thomas Partey is going to be the main man in that central midfield, and then you need to buy players to work around him. I've spoken before about Arsenal's interest in Ruben Neves. As far as I understand, that hasn't progressed to anything like an actual official bid or anything like that yet. He's just a player on the list that Arsenal are looking at, and it could be that you'd see Lokonga and Neves come in, or Lokonga and Basuma if Arsenal are to ever firm up that interest in Yves Basuma, which again I don't believe has actually happened yet. So I think, it's not a case of just one in, one out, Xhaka out and someone else in, potentially Lokonga, but I think it was probably going to be more than that. I'd be very, very surprised, just given the numbers. I think when you look at the squad and you plan for your squad, you plan for the season, you sit down with Edu, Arteta, Richard Garlick, and you work out how many players you need in what positions. I don't think you can look at the midfield options at Arsenal right now and think, we've got enough to get through the demands of the Premier League season. Even the fact that Arsenal don't have European football, yes, that's going to mean less games and less of a demand for a huge squad, but still the numbers in that midfield are a little bit worrying for me. So I wouldn't say it's just going to be Lokonga and no one else. It would be I still expect you're probably going to see at least another midfielder come in if he does arrive. And we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, the reports over in Belgium certainly saying the bid hasn't been accepted, so a little bit of talking to be done between the two clubs. Fingers crossed that it's one that Arsenal can get over the line and they can start to build this new look squad that we're going to see going into the season. Ben White continues to do the rounds. A couple more sort of bits and pieces, nothing really fresh on him recently. We know that Arsenal are interested in Ben White. It is a little bit complicated by the fact he's at the Euros at the moment. I think it's quite hard to get deals done for players who are away with their national teams. You could probably get something agreed between the clubs, but whether you could actually get a deal finalised is, potentially a little bit difficult. I've given my thoughts on the Ben White situation before. I think it'd be a good signing for Arsenal. I think he's a good age. I think he's a huge talent. I think he's got a massive ceiling to improve, and I think Arsenal would be a better squad, better team if they can sign Ben White. I know he's a lot of money. I know a lot of you are a little bit worried about the money that Arsenal could be putting down to try and bring in Ben White. We've seen £50 million mentioned, but like I said, I do wonder if there might be some sort of swap deal involved in this if you could get that done. And also, you're not shelling out £50 million this summer. You're putting down probably, 13-15 million pound max this summer for him, and then you're staggering the rest of the payments over the length of his contract. So it's not like Arsenal going out and blowing the entire transfer budget on Ben White if they do get this deal done. It's it'd be a case of just managing the money, and they will go out and sign other players as well. I'm fully expecting a busy summer at the end, although it feels like it's a little bit slow at the moment. I'm expecting a summer of 4 or 5 players to come in, and whether that will be Ben White, we'll have to wait and see. But he's certainly a player that Arsenal do like and have had meetings about. But there has been no bid to Brighton yet. Interesting that Simon Jones, I think it was in the Mail Online, saying that Ben White is keen on the move to Arsenal. So if that is the case, then that will help, you would think, if he would try and press forward with this move as well and convince Brighton into letting him go. And there's got to be a few players, if Arsenal are looking to move players out on the squad, which you know they are, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, your Eddie Nketiahs, your Joe Willocks even. There's got to be some players there that Brighton might well fancy that might be able to help get this deal done and over the line without Arsenal having to commit to such a huge financial outlay as in money-wise. So I want to keep an eye on that one. I do feel like Ben White, that might well be something that drags on until after the Euros, though. Just given his involvement there, it might be a little bit difficult to get that one certainly over the line between now and the end of the Euros. But maybe they could get something done with Brighton. We will have to wait and see on that. I get lots of questions about what's happening with Andre Onana at the moment. I have to say the answer to that at the moment is not too much. As last I have been told that Arsenal haven't firmed up their interest with him in him with an offer to Ajax yet. That still hasn't happened. It's a tough one, and I mentioned this after the verdict last week. I think it's a big decision to make. I'm not sure it's something you absolutely have to rush into as soon as the verdict's made, because you've got to really work out and balance exactly what's going to happen with the goalkeepers. Now, Onana doesn't want to come in and be a number 2, even if he starts the season in November. He doesn't want to then spend the next 6 months sitting on the bench behind Bernd Leno. And so you've got to decide, if you're Arsenal, what you're going to do. Are you going to look to move Bernd Leno on so you can sign Onana this summer? Have you got takers for Bernd Leno? Are people knocking on the door at the moment asking for Bernd Leno? As I've reported before, I don't think anyone's going to stand in anyone's way if it is decided that Leno might well go this summer. I think he'd be open to move. He's admitted previously that he's actually, pretty much open to anything. If Arsenal got a good amount of money in for Leno, 2 years left on his contract, no talk started over extending that yet, I think they would accept it. But has that happened yet? I'm not so sure. And so I think you've got to weigh that situation up, and then you've also got to weigh up who's your number 2 goalkeeper at the moment. Arsenal like Matt Ryan. They would like to get him back next season, but then you've got Matt Ryan's got to decide what he wants to do. Does he want to come back and play second fiddle to someone all of last season? Obviously he did that, next season. He did that between January and the end of last season. He played a couple of games for Arsenal, did very, very well, and everyone at Arsenal loves Matt Ryan. Everyone that I've spoken to about him says the way he handled himself, the way he performed when he did get an opportunity, but the way he performed off the pitch and handled himself, absolutely top level professional. He impressed so many people, and that's why Arsenal will be very, very keen to get him back, and they are interested in getting him back. But a lot of clubs will be interested in him as well, because he's a very good goalkeeper, and those clubs will be able to offer him regular first team football. So you've got to work out what you're going to do with that as well. So it's not just a simple situation of going out and signing Onana straight away after that verdict, because you've got to decide, are you willing to have him not playing for 3 months because of this ban and signing him anyway? What happens if you do sign him and then you can't sell Bernd Leno? You got the situation of who is your number one there. Also, if you do sell Bernd Leno and you bring Onana in, then you have to get yourself a decent goalkeeper for the first 3 months, because I think we all understand that Alex Runarsson is not good enough to be Arsenal's number one for 3 months in a row in the Premier League. So there's lots of things you've got to work out. It's a pretty complicated situation with Onana. So I'm not surprised that Arsenal haven't gone straight in and made this bid since the verdict has come out, because there's lots of things to ponder. But the thing is, and the thing they're going to have to be very wary of, is there's lots of interest, as far as I'm aware, in Onana. There's interest from clubs in England in him, and from abroad as well. And so, you know, Ajax, we know, want to sell, so they're going to want to get a deal done as quickly as they possibly can. So Arsenal are going to have to keep a really close eye on what's going on and who else are coming in and talking to Onana and his people and to Ajax, because if they really want to get him signed, then they're going to face competition and they're going to have to make a decision sooner rather than later. So that's the latest, as far as I'm aware, on Andre Onana. And then Nabil Fekir, another player I'm getting asked about an awful lot. I put a tweet out yesterday, if you haven't seen it or not. Now, there have been rumours or reports doing the rounds that Arsenal had a bid rejected for Nabil Fekir. As far as I'm aware, that is not the case. There has been no bid, and Arsenal haven't really firmed up their interest in Fekir since earlier on, before the window opened, when they were speaking informally to his people, finding out his situation. And you know, what sort of money he would want, that sort of thing, as clubs always do ahead of their transfer window. But there has been no bid for Fekir, and his people haven't heard back since those initial discussions about exactly what his situation was ahead of the summer. Now, it looks like that Arsenal sort of going to have to move away from the idea of bringing back Martin Odegaard next season. That's what David Ornstein at The Athletic has reported this morning. I'm sure you've probably seen it, or now. He's always been Arsenal's priority, Martin Odegaard. They wanted to get him back. They loved him while he was over here. They really hoping they'd done enough to convince him that he wanted to try and make this move to Arsenal permanent in the summer. It doesn't seem like that is going to be the case. Real Madrid are keen to hang on to him for next season, by all accounts, and that is certainly putting real threat on Arsenal's desire to bring him back for next season. So you're going to have to look, if you want to sign a number 10 or that sort of player, creative player, and you're not getting Odegaard, you've obviously already missed out on Buendia, then you're going to have to look elsewhere. So potentially they could go back in and sort of register firmer interest in Nabil Fekir. Whether they do that, we'll have to wait and see. But there are other options as well that they'll have to look at. And I'm sure they've got a very long list. I've said it before, I really like Pereira at West Brom last season. I thought it was great in the Premier League. His numbers stack up very well, especially in a really poor team. And I wouldn't, I think he'd be a really good, certainly someone you could look at potentially making a bit of a difference. But that's just me giving my opinion, and I haven't heard anything to suggest that Arsenal are interested in him. Before we go, just quickly on Outgoing, there's not really much to report on that at the moment. We all know the Xhaka thing seems to have stalled a little bit at the moment. Everyone wanted to get that done before the Euros. It didn't happen. Xhaka now wants to concentrate purely on what's going on with Switzerland, so I think that's something that's going to have to be revisited at the end of the tournament, because he doesn't want anything to come in the way of what's going on with Switzerland, and you can perfectly understand that as well. Guendouzi, I've seen, has been linked with Benfica recently, or the Marseille talk continues to go on. But again, it doesn't seem like anything is absolutely imminent when it comes to Guendouzi. Daniel Ballard, one of the young Arsenal centre-backs, spent last season out on loan with Blackpool. He's got huge amounts of interest in him, signing him on loan. Something could well happen in the next week or so with him. Blackpool obviously desperate to get him back now. They got promoted to the Championship next season, but there are about 4 other Championship clubs very much in the running for Ballard. A couple of those were top half Championship clubs last season, and so he has to make a big decision, and Arsenal have to make a decision about what they think is going to be best for him next season. He's not for sale. Obviously, if someone came in and whacked in a huge bid, then that might change things, but for Arsenal it wouldn't make any sense really to sell Ballard now, because his value, he had a very good season last season, but he had that good season in League One with Blackpool, so his value is not going to be high. If he has a very good season out on loan this season in the Championship, then that value could increase 2 or 3-fold at the moment. And Arsenal are in a decent position with Ballard, because I think he's only got a year left technically on his contract, but Arsenal have a 2-year option that they can take up on him as well. So effectively, if Arsenal want to, then they can make that contract 3 years. So they're in a pretty strong position when it comes to him. So I expect him to go out on loan very, very soon to the Championship. Alright, that's about it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Please do keep your eyes peeled across my social media channels and goal.com for all your latest Arsenal news. If anything happens, anything fresh there is to report, you will see it all first there. Have a good day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.